Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over our next winter storm over portions of the northeast and mid-Atlantic states. We're going to be going over how much snowfall you should be expecting if you live within those areas. We're also going to be talking about how far south that snowfall could potentially get, because we could be seeing some of the first snowfalls of the season over portions of the northeast and mid-Atlantic states, where you could potentially pick up a quick dusting or coating of snowfall, and as you get further to the north and to the west you might even get a couple of accumulating inches of snowfall. We're going to be going over all of that and more in today's video. We're also going to look at a couple different models and see what they are showing for this storm. I'm also not going to give a official snowfall forecast in today's video, so I'm not going to draw my own snowfall forecast in today's video, although I will make one most likely for the next couple of videos I do on the storm, if this does stay within the models, just because I don't have too much certainty within the models, because there are so many different solutions as to what may happen. So here is the current National Weather Service page. We see a large area of winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings. Winter weather advisories in the purple, winter storm warnings in the pink, winter storm watches in the dark blue, and that's for parts of northern New Mexico. And then we see another area of winter weather advisories for the UP of Michigan. That's because of some lake effect snowfall. We also see some winter weather advisories for Montana, and that's yet another round of snowfall for those regions. That's going to be dipping further to the south. We see some frost advisories for western Washington and western Oregon, as well as some freeze warnings in effect for southwestern Washington, western Oregon, and northern California, as well as eastern California, southern Nevada, and northwestern Arizona, southeastern Utah, and southwestern Colorado, and another thin band for parts of Oklahoma. Freeze watches are in effect further to the east of there, as well as another area in Arizona and parts of California. We see hard freeze warnings in effect for parts of northwestern California. We also see some red flag warnings in effect for much of the southwestern United States. And other than that, the only other warnings and advisories that we have are wind advisories and high wind warnings in effect for parts of the southwestern United States. But you can tell it's very action-packed over much of the United States right now. So here is the European model, and let's start talking about what this model is showing for this storm. The European model, or actually, I'll give you a quick summation of what's going to be going on in the upper atmosphere. We're going to have a big upper high pressure system that's going to be sitting over parts of southeastern Canada, but the boundary of this high pressure is going to be kind of like this for much of the storm's duration, although it will start to press further to the south, and the storm won't have enough time to move out to the east, so you will actually see some change over to snowfall, because of course a high pressure from Canada indicates colder temperatures, and you might actually see a switch over to snowfall. So let's play this through. It is a complicated setup, and this is some of the hardest storms to forecast just because of the amount of timing uncertainty with this storm. So here would be the day. Here would actually be October 29th, so 2 days before Halloween, and we're looking at quite a bit of rainfall for much of the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast. So this is going to be a very wet system to start off with, but then it starts to switch over to rain and snow and a wintry mix over portions of the mountainous regions of the interior Northeast. Then as we continue this forward, here would be by Friday early in the morning, and then here would be by Friday morning as you're waking up, and you are starting to see some flakes flying over portions of Pennsylvania, upstate New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, and you are starting to see that 32-degree line, which is this red line. Anywhere inside of that 32-degree line and anywhere north of there is experiencing colder or is experiencing below 32-degree Fahrenheit temperatures. We are starting to see that move a little bit closer to this rain snow line, and just because you see snow, you're not inside that 32-degree line doesn't mean you can't be seeing snow. For example, look at this area in Pennsylvania where you're above 32 degrees, but you're still seeing snowfall, and I think that's where you're going to be seeing snowfall, maybe 33, 34, 35 degrees. So it will be a wet snowfall, and this isn't going to be a major snowstorm. It's just going to be so interesting because of how early it's coming. Here would be by Friday afternoon and evening time, and that rain and snow is starting to switch over, but believe it or not, you're not seeing seeing this depicted within the model, but there would be some flakes flying within this region according to the European model. And here is the snowfall for that, and you do see that there was some sort of switch over terrain in between those frames where you saw snowfall for much of the mid-Atlantic states and parts of the I would say southern northeast, if that's a term I could use, for portions of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, even parts of western New England and northern New England. You guys saw some snowfall, and you would see a brief switch over to snowfall within this scenario. So let's start looking at a different scenario. Here's the GFS model and the Canadian model, and both the Canadian and the Icon model both support what the European model is showing, with a system kind of moving south like this, and not all of them show snowfall switching over. Not all of them have the high pressure timing out with this system, but they do show some snowfall for kind of this band right here, and they all show at least rain further to the south. So we all know that there's going to be a system within the area, and we know that there is going to be a high pressure to the north. It's just how are these two going to combine? That's going to be the real issue here. You are starting to see, this would be by Friday morning, and we're starting to see heavy snowfall for portions of the interior northeast. The GFS model has been very consistent, showing some sort of big interior northeast snowstorm for parts of the northern New England and interior northeast regions. You see a low pressure system that's moving off the shore of the northeast, and then you see another system which is very intense that's going to dip further to the south and allow some of that heavy snowfall to move to the south. Here would be by Friday morning, here would be by Friday early afternoon, and that snow is heavy to moderate in many areas over the interior northeast, and then it starts to move out as we get to Saturday early in the morning. Now, this will just be the last frame of some flakes flying over parts of southeasternmost Massachusetts. Now here's the snowfall totals for this, and you see some areas getting closer to 40 inches in parts of extreme southern Canada, and a widespread 6+ inch snowstorm. And that rain snow line does get fairly far to the south, where you do see snowfall fairly far to the south over southern New England, southern upstate New York, northern Pennsylvania. So that would still be a fairly decent snowstorm, and especially for parts of the interior northeast, you guys could be hammered with some snowfall. But I don't know if I'm buying this solution too much, where you're going to see the system stay all the way to the north and kind of go like this, because we have many models showing that we see the system actually come in from the south, and that would indicate that your rain snow line would be somewhere around here and might actually push a little bit further to the south than there. Let's look at another run of the GFS model. This is the previous run, the overnight model run of the GFS model, and you saw a fairly similar system, just to show that this model isn't just making this up, and this isn't just a one model run basis that I'm basing this entire video off. This is a multiple model run thing that the GFS has been showing, where an interior northeast snowstorm looks likely according to the GFS. However, if you look at other models, there isn't too much support for this type of storm. So it is definitely a little bit confusing here, and there is stuff that I still have to figure out with this storm system, and that's why I'm not making a snowfall forecast just yet. And we see that snowfall over the parts of the interior northeast kind of dissipate right away, and you would most likely see some sort of changeover quickly to snowfall behind the system. But the thing is, we don't know where this shield of precipitation is going to lie. If the temperatures are below 32 degrees, let's say for these regions, but the shield of precipitation is already back here, you're not going to see snowfall, of course. But if your shield of precipitation is still inland and you're still seeing rainfall over these regions, and your 32-degree line is even just over portions of the interior northeast, it could still be cold enough to support snow for the coastal northeast, and this is going to be a very challenging forecast. Now, here's what the GFS puts out for that model run, and you see fairly similar amounts. It is pushed down a little bit in terms of the snowfall totals, but still you're getting the general idea of it. And that rain snow line does go far south into southern New England, upstate New York, and northern Pennsylvania. Let's look at a different model interpretation of this. This is the European ensemble model, a combination of about 51 different models put together and averaged out, and this is what they show. The higher your snowfall total, models, the higher likelihood that you are to see snowfall. And the fact that some of these model runs, like the GFS, are showing 20 inches, but the European ensemble models only showing 1 or 2 inches, it indicates to me that there's so much uncertainty with the system that these models are kind of all over the place. Some have snow this far to the south, some have snow getting restricted just this far to the north. So there's so much uncertainty with this storm, and that's going to be something that we really have to figure out over the next couple of days. Here's the GFS ensemble model snowfall totals for this averaged out, a combination of about 31 models, and you see that snowfall does get fairly far to the south according to this model run and ensemble member. Now here would be the GFS ensemble models, just all of them put onto one map here, and you can see all the different model members, and we're looking at most of these actually bringing this just for the interior northeast. Although, again, I was looking at the Canadian model and I was looking at the German model, and they were agreeing fairly well with what the European model was showing, which is a little bit more of a southern snowstorm, a little bit pushed further to the south, where portions of the mid-Atlantic and coastal northeast would see most of the snowfall, albeit it's only going to be a couple inches, but they would see most of the snowfall, and you don't see too much for northern New England. And you do see a couple of model runs that do support that. For example, this model run supports that, and you can see a couple here and there that support some sort of snowfall like that, but it's very, very interesting how this is going to be playing out. So I hope you guys can understand the forecasting struggle with this storm. Now, this is going to be, again, a very challenging storm to forecast, and I'll be forecasting it with you guys on the channel, and definitely I'll be making my snowfall forecast as we get more clarity. So I don't think I'll put a snowfall forecast out within the next 2 or 3 days, just because of how much uncertainty there is. It would be very irresponsible of me to do so, but I'll most likely put one out maybe as we get closer to Halloween, maybe the 29th or the 30th. Once we get more clarity on what's going to happen, I'll probably put one out right around then. So definitely stay tuned. Make sure you have your notifications turned on. Make sure you are subscribed, and make sure you like the video so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.